A hungry little boy had only one piece of bread left. Then he met an old man who hadn't eaten for 3 days. What happened next changed both of their lives forever.
On a cold winter evening, a 12-year-old boy named Adam walked slowly through the empty streets. His clothes were old. His shoes were torn. And in his pocket, he carried the last piece of bread his mother had given him before she went to work. That bread was supposed to be his dinner. It was all they had left. Adam's family had been struggling for months. Some nights, his mother pretended she wasn't hungry so her son could eat. Adam knew the truth. He had seen the tears in her eyes when she thought he was asleep. As he walked home, he noticed an old man sitting alone beside a broken wall. The man's hands were shaking. His face looked tired. His eyes were filled with pain. People walked past him without stopping. Some looked away. Others acted as if he didn't exist. Adam stopped. He looked at the bread in his hand. Then he looked at the old man. His stomach was hurting from hunger. But something inside his heart whispered, maybe someone else needs it even more. Adam slowly walked toward the old man. Without saying a single word, he placed the bread into the man's hands. The old man's eyes filled with tears. He looked at the little boy and whispered, "I haven't eaten in 3 days." Adam smiled gently, even though he knew he would go to sleep hungry that night. Sometimes the greatest kindness comes from those who have the least. Adam quietly walked home that night with an empty stomach. When his mother asked if he had eaten, he smiled and softly replied, "Yes, Mom. I wasn't very hungry." It was a small lie. A lie told out of love. His mother smiled, believing her son was full. But after she fell asleep, Adam lay awake, listening to the sound of his own hungry stomach. Still, he did not regret what he had done. Deep inside, he felt something he had never felt before: peace. The next morning, Adam returned to the same street. The old man was gone. Only a small handwritten note rested on the ground. It simply said, "Kindness never disappears. One day, it always finds its way home." Adam folded the note carefully and kept it in his pocket for years. Life, however, did not suddenly become easier. His mother continued working long hours. Some days they had enough food. Some days they did not. But no matter how difficult life became, Adam never stopped helping others whenever he could. Years passed. The little boy grew into a young man. He worked hard. He studied whenever he found time. He refused to let poverty define his future. Whenever life became difficult, he would take out the old note, read those simple words, and remind himself, kindness never disappears. Those words became his strength. They gave him hope on the darkest days. And without realizing it, that one small act of kindness had already begun changing his life from the inside. Because the greatest rewards are not always money. Sometimes the greatest reward is becoming the kind of person the world desperately needs. 10 years passed. Adam was no longer the little boy who walked home with an empty stomach. He had worked hard. He had never forgotten his mother's sacrifices. And he had never forgotten the old man's note. One rainy afternoon, Adam was leaving work when he saw a crowd gathered outside a small cafe. An elderly man had collapsed on the sidewalk. Most people stood there watching. Very few stepped forward to help. Without hesitation, Adam rushed through the crowd. He called for an ambulance and stayed beside the old man, holding his hand until help arrived. As the ambulance doors were about to close, the old man slowly opened his eyes. For a moment, they looked at each other in silence. Then the old man whispered, "I knew kindness would find its way home." Adam Froze. He recognized the voice. It was the same elderly man who had received his last piece of bread many years ago. Tears filled Adam's eyes. The old man smiled gently and reached into his old coat. From a small, worn envelope, he pulled out a dry piece of paper. It was the same note. Kindness never disappears. One day, it always finds its way home. The old man said softly, "You didn't save me because you expected a reward. You helped because your heart was kind. Never lose that heart." A few days later, the old man peacefully passed away. He left Adam no fortune, no expensive gift, only that handwritten note. Adam framed it and hung it on the wall of the small community center he later opened for children and families in need. Every child who walked through those doors read the same words. Kindness never disappears. One day, it always finds its way home. Years later, people asked Adam why he spent so much of his life helping strangers. He would smile and answer, "Because one small act of kindness can become someone else's reason to keep living." If this story teaches us anything, it is this. You may never know how deeply your kindness touches another person's life. A smile, a meal, a helping hand, a few kind words. These simple acts can become hope for someone who has almost lost it. So whenever you have the chance to help, help. Not because you expect something in return, but because kindness is the one gift that grows every time you give it. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the greatest legacy a person can leave behind.